Welcome back to the channel, everybody. This is Todd, Southern Sipper, coming to you from the back patio, finally. I got home today and there's enough daylight left to get this one done. Even though this one's gonna get a bit long, and if I sound a little off, I'm right at the very back end of this stinking little head and chest cold I got right before my son came in town from Mardi Gras, which was great. Having him and his girlfriend here was fantastic. We had just the best time. They were calling for some foul weather, but we managed somehow to dodge all of it. I don't know. Just got really, really fortunate with that because we were able to get them down to the parades. They, you know, since my son grew up here, he had some of his favorite little places to go eat and whatnot that he wanted to visit, and we managed to get everything in. So it was just great. I don't get to see him often enough. We did a couple of reviews together while he was here, one with me and my mom and one with just me and him, and then just for grins, I'll link them up there. So what we're going to do today, going to get a little bit off the beaten path, and I get some requests on occasion that, hey man, you should just tell some stories. So here we go, boys and girls, and we're gonna do that whilst we review a beer. And before we get going with anything else, let's talk about the beer. This is the Rogue Dead Guy Ale. There's the other side of the can. Oh, I've always liked this label. Now, Rogue is in Oregon, and this particular beer, the Dead Guy, is they call it a Maibock style ale. Now, Maibocks are lagers. So this is an ale brewed, you know, to be similar to a Maibock, and I tend to agree. I used to drink a lot of Maibocks, but like everything else, you know, times change and they get difficult to find. But anyway, these are 6.8%. It's a great number for me, man. I love them between 6 and 7%. It's 40 IBUs. They do say that it's a liberable dose of bittering hops. I don't agree with that. It is not hoppy at all. It's you know, on the nose it's biscuity and you know, crackery and malty. You don't really pick up much in the line of any sort of, you know, aromatic hops or anything. Oh man, I guess I missed the pour. I'm sorry, but there it is. It's a, you know, for all intents and purposes, it looks like an amber ale or a red ale, a lighter version of a red ale. It tastes a lot like one too, for me. It is malty, just enough hops to offset some of that malt. This is a really nice beer, and I used to drink a bunch of this, you know, a few years ago. Oh man, couldn't get enough of it. But then it kind of disappeared from my market. I don't know if our local distributors quit carrying the damn thing or what. But I saw it in the store, grabbed some up, and thought, heck yeah, we'll put that on the channel. But I thought I'd share a little story with you guys since we just got through Mardi Gras, and my son was here during Mardi Gras. This unfortunate series of events that I found myself involved in kept coming up, and I kept having to tell it. So guess what? I thought, well, you know what the heck, I'll just tell you guys too. Now, let me just give a disclaimer. This is not how you do things, boys and girls. Okay? This is not how, this is more of, this is how you don't. Okay, if you ever find yourself in a similar situation, don't be like me, okay? But anyway, it was back during, I was a young single man, and I lived alone, and I went down to Joe Cain Day. Now, for those of you that don't know about our local Mobile's Mardi Gras, Joe Cain, I mean, we started parading, I mean, the earliest known parade, I think, was 1703. And it went on. It was a lot. I'm not going to get into that, all of that history, but at some point there was a break during the Civil War, you know, during Union occupation and all that sort of thing. And you know, Mood was bad, man. Morale was low. People were not happy. It was war. Well, Joseph Stilwell Kane is his name. He revived it. He got a bunch of friends. They all got, drunk and got a mule wagon and a bunch of rakes and cowbells, and they paraded down right through the streets of downtown Mobile and they threw wooden trinkets at the Union soldiers, and that was the revival of Mardi Gras. And when you hear the old saying, raising Cain and all that stuff, that's where it comes from. Okay. Now he's buried right around the corner from me. I keep my hand in the camera. He's right over there. And they have a day here, Joe Cain Day. Now, didn't look it up. I used to know it if it was his birthday or if it's just the day that he did this affair, the Sunday before Mardi Gras Day. I don't know. But anyway, that parade has gone through many iterations over the years. Now, we're going to get in and out of this beer while we're at it. Man, I tell you, that thing is just nice. That beer is dangerously good. If you're like me and you like beers that are really well balanced, okay, that's the ticket. I mean, it's even got a little bit of that yogurty tartness from the yeast. I just love that. It's not the easiest thing in the world to find in a beer. But anyway, originally it was just a bunch of drug heads went to his cemetery, went to his graveside, and everybody just kind of turned a blind eye to all the misbehavior that was going on. And over the years that grew and grew, and then it was too many people down there in the cemetery at the Church Street Cemetery. So they had to, the city had to step in and say, look, y'all are, it was getting damaged. And that thing's been there for a couple hundred years. So they kind of turned it into the people's procession, and it was just a bunch of folks hanging out downtown. And then it got to be too many people for that. And then one time they tried to corral everybody in the damn parking lot at the Mobile Municipal Auditorium. That was a bad plan. That worked one time. And turned everybody back loose in the streets again. And then then people started kind of bringing their own floats and all that bit, and it just kind of organically happened with a parade. Sometimes it'd just be a line of big trucks and Jeeps and whatnot, and then a couple of trailers with people in it flinging stuff. It was during this unorganized, now dude, now what, where we are today, during that time, unfortunately, a man got, look, everybody's drinking, everybody's getting high, whatever. Dude rolled off the float, wound up under a trailer. He rolled off of it because it didn't have any safety rails or anything on it, and, it killed him. So the city did what they had been avoiding for a long time, and they just had to take it over and completely organize it and permit the whole affair. But it was during those years of unorganization that I was down there, and it's just kind of a day-long drunk fest. And I left work, went home, and bought 2 bottles of Evan Williams, black label, Evan Williams. Pint bottles. You know why I bought pint bottles? Because they fit in your damn back pockets, and they flat. So, my buddy, one of my buddies called me, hey man, look, I'm gonna ride with my other friend, Ken. We're gonna ride with Ken down to Joe Cain Day. I said, man, Eddie, that's not a good plan. It's not a good plan, because Ken is famously on again and off again with this damn little girlfriend, and he'll find her down there and he will leave our ass, okay? He's gonna do it. You know he is. But I got talked into it because I was a lesser man, apparently. I bought a 6er of that. It's not gonna last long. That is really good. So anyway, I'm pretty well behaved, I'm keeping everything reeled in, drinking my Evan Williams right out of the bottle. I went and bought a Coke from one of the food trucks and, ran out of that, back in the bottle again. And I look around, guess what? Ken's gone, okay? So now Eddie and I are stranded without a ride. Now, granted, there's a gazillion people down there. We'll find somebody to take us home. Well, Eddie, look, I'm going to find somebody. We'll get a ride. Don't worry about it. Well, I just kept getting drunker and drunker. And then I looked around, Eddie's gone. Well, so now it's just me. And there was no night parade. This thing started in the morning, and as the day got later and later and approached darkness, everybody just kind of petered out. Well, next thing I know, I'm drunk as whiskey, and there's not a lot of people downtown left. So, I just kept getting drunker and drunker, and I'm just kind of aimlessly wandering about the streets of downtown, and I finally found not friends, but people I knew that kind of ran in the same circle, you understand. And by this time, it wasn't pretty. We'll put it like that. And so I sidled, hey man, I just need a ride home. Yeah, we'll get you home. But we're going to do this, that, and the other thing down here first. I'm like, oh, Jesus. Man, by that time I was kind of in the state where I just needed to not be anywhere but at home. You know what I mean? By that, when you reach that point where your decision making can be nothing but poor, I was there. So I reached in, and one of the bottles was been gone, and I was putting a dent in the second one. I got back in that a little bit. And I was just kind of lurking. Wherever they went, I just lurked, I didn't really know them well enough and I wasn't functioning well enough to be involved in any of the fun. Finally, the guy says, all right, man, you ready to go? Yeah, kinda am. Jumped in the car, told them where I lived, and they pulled up. By the time they pulled up in front of my house, all I could do was open the door and rolled out. That was it. It's all I had. It's all that was left. And I laid there. The amazing thing is that I remember all this, as bad off as I was. So I just laid there. I was laying there next to the curb, in the grass, in that utility easement between the sidewalk and the street, in a pretty large neighborhood. I laid there long enough to be able to think several times, I really need to find a way to get up and not lay here next to the road. Somebody's gonna, stop and either want to help or, call the damned authorities. So I managed to, I crawled. Let's face it. I crawled my ass up to the house, got in a flower bed. I stayed there, hiding amongst the azaleas for a considerable period of time. I have no idea how long I laid there. I don't even know. Fortunately, it was barely dark, so it was still early in the day. This stuff happens in February and March, so it's not like it gets dark at 8:30. Well, honestly, I have no idea how long I laid there because I didn't care. I managed to, for whatever reason, I felt compelled. I needed to claw up my way, and I felt like I should really look in the kitchen window. No idea why. I was the only one that lived there. What am I going to do? What did I expect to see? I don't know. So, I finally worked up enough effort and got in the house. When I got in the house, went straight in, laid down in the bathroom floor. That's where I spent the night. Now, I might have been young, but smart enough to know, because look, man, I grew up here. I did Mardi Gras from the time I was a child up until I was old enough, and drinking age and all that good stuff. I took Monday and Wednesday off of work because I knew I was going to party it up on Sunday and Tuesday. Ta-da! So I knew I didn't have to go to work. I laid there and I spent the night in the bathroom floor. I kid you not, dude. When I got up the next morning, I rolled around and looked around. It's the dirt, just the amount of dirt and dead leaves and all that crap was all over the floor. I was absolutely filthy. Just, you know, I had this coat on. I really liked that coat. I remember that. It was a great coat. It was red and it was reversible. And you open it up on the inside, it was yellow. Fit good. It was nice and warm. It was cold that day. That coat was unrecognizable at that point. I just stripped down. I got a shower. When I got out of the shower, I threw my clothes in the shower and got into bed. You know, when I got out of bed, I just turned the shower on those damn nasty ass clothes, let them sit there for a while, and when they got drained enough, I threw them in the washing machine, and that was that. But, you know, for whatever reason, that seems to always come up in a crowd on, you know, in and around Joe Kane. Hey Todd, what was it that happened to you when you spent the night in the damn flower bed? You know, well, there you go. That's how it happened. Now, there was another story around Mardi Gras. Maybe that'll be next. I mean, Mardi Gras is over, but you can still tell Mardi Gras stories. I'll talk about that one. I've mentioned it in another video. I don't know which one, so I can't link it, but suffice it to say, you know, the Sipper was in rare form that night too. And that was one of those where I knew better. And I just, you know, sometimes, man, things flow and things sneak up on you, and ta-da, there you go. You know, bad decisions. Well, Jan Rogue is, we're down to that. I just love this beer. Hopefully they'll keep it. Now, I don't know if I mentioned it. This particular can, this thing was canned in September of last year. And it just showed up on the shelves in the grocery store. I'm in that store often enough to have seen it. I'd have noticed it because it's one I like. So, it hadn't been in my store that long. It just either that's how long it took it to get to me, or that's how long it took it for the distributor, you know, to work through his stock and finally, you know, put it on the shelf. But anyway, that's it for that. And once again, I don't endorse that type of behavior. You know, I'm gonna you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna attempt to monetize this damn video. We'll see if it sticks, because YouTube does not like, you know, the glorification of overindulgence. It's in the list of things. Did you mention doing too much of this stuff? Yeah, we'll see. What's the worst that can happen? They demonetize this when I get one strike or however this works. I've never, you know, I don't do any sort of controversial material, man. I'm just an old guy that likes to do beer reviews and recently started cannabis reviews, so I'm not all that concerned about that kind of stuff. There you have it. So, as always, please like and subscribe. If you like this kind of content, just subscribe if you haven't. And as you've learned, I don't always do it, but please enjoy your adult malted beverages responsibly.